Okay, we might as well get started. Anybody else going to log in is going to get the bulk of it anyway. If you're new to Social Advisors, this is something that new that we're starting, right? So if you've been a client of ours for a while, this is the first one you've seen. If you're new to us, it might seem like we've been doing this a while, but um, I truly believe that if we can continue to increase the value we provide you, our very valued clients, then we'll earn your business for a long time, and in increasing that value, we'll work with other advisors. So this internal client conversation is something that we are just starting today. The plan is to, in over the month, take a look at any types of common issues that we're finding amongst our client base and design maybe a 20 or 30-minute conversation around those issues, offering whatever advice we have on helping to overcome those issues. And so this is brand new. I'm going to turn the video pane off here in a second. We have very noisy neighbors at the office. So they're doing a build out next door to us. And in spite of us asking them to do it off business hours, they've opted to do it differently. So rather than you hearing the hammering and everything that's going on at the office right now, I came home. So you get the festive Christmas tree, a little bit of natural light. Anyway, so I'll get rid of the video pane, as I really don't want to look at myself for the next 30 minutes while I talk to you, right? So, the biggest issue I would say that we experience with our clients, right? If someone doesn't continue after a 6-month relationship with us, typically I would classify that advisor as maybe even a little bit desperate. I know that they are incredibly, God, I don't want to use the word salesy, but that is the commonality. They're trying to sell way too soon in a new relationship. And so our first topic that we're kicking off with in this internal call is just giving you some tips on how to build trust in new relationships, right? A lot of us have been prospecting for a very long time. Now, LinkedIn prospecting is new to almost all of us. We've been doing it in some capacity for about 3 years, and have refined our processes and tested a lot of our messaging. But, prospecting doesn't really change. The way we prospect changes a little bit, but anytime you have a new relationship, whether that's someone you met at a networking event, whether that's somebody that you met over LinkedIn, whether that's a personal introduction, anytime that you have a new relationship, if you don't do your best to build trust in that relationship before advancing into a business conversation, it's likely that you're killing any opportunity that you might have 6 to 8, 12 months down the road. So, if you think about it, the one thing that each and every one of your clients has in common is that they do have trust in you, right? And the moment that trust is eroded, or perhaps someone else in the industry is building more trust in them than you are through communication or offering them value, once that trust becomes eroded or supplanted with somebody else, pretty soon you're not going to have that client, right? So building trust in new relationships is essential to being successful, not only in the service that we provide, but also in any other prospecting capacity. So we're going to focus on that topic first. Now, the business development challenge is real. Any of you that have been on previous webinars of mine, you might have seen this slide in the past. This comes from some HubSpot research, I believe was done early in 2019, might be as much as a year old at this point. But, and this is a general sales research, it's not necessarily financial services oriented. And so you can see I replaced the word prospect in there a couple of places, so it spoke more to the industry. But it takes on average 18 outreaches to get in touch with a prospect, right? So if you've got somebody who had an interest in talking to you about business, it takes on average of 18 outreaches to them, whether it's email, phone, LinkedIn, however else you're going to communicate with them, to actually get back in touch with them. Also, 24% of an advisor's day is spent prospecting. That seems like a huge amount of time, especially for seasoned advisors, right? You've got a lot more going on with client service. And so getting to that, that quarter of your day, those 2 or 3 hours every day for prospecting for a lot of advisors I know is very difficult, right? Email. the effectiveness of email in a sales capacity has plummeted in the last decade, right? Email was really effective even 15 years ago. Now, that's not to say that email is not a wonderful communication tool. It certainly is. So, communicating with partners and clients and colleagues and employees and employers, email is great for communication. But if you simply are getting a list of email addresses today and or doing inbound marketing with a lead magnet advertisement on Facebook to draw people into a sales funneling type system, 13% of your emails get open. So if you're running ads, you need to get 9 people to respond to that ad to get a single one of them to open an email. So email is becoming less and less effective. Again, great communication tool. It's not going anywhere, but from a sales perspective, it's just not effective as it was, say 5, 10 years ago, 2 years ago even. Data privacy continues to become a bigger and bigger issue. California just released a new law. The European Union released a data privacy law probably a year ago at this point. So anyway, data privacy gets in the way of email really being effective. And then you're going to find that about 50% of sales leads are actually qualified. And the truth is, whether you find those sales leads on LinkedIn or through advertising or through networking or through personal introductions are going to be the highest qualified people. So even through LinkedIn, we do our best with our targeting. Not everybody's going to be qualified. And as you communicate with your account executive, you want to continue to let he or she know which of the leads that we send you are best qualified, because in time, what we do is refine our processes and our messaging to make sure that we are bringing you a larger quantity of those qualified people in time. So if you're new to our process and our services, make sure that you're open in communication with your account executive, because that makes our job easier in delivering better quality to you. So the business development challenge is definitely real. And here's the thing, and where we're successful in growing a business is because most salespeople find prospecting to be the most difficult aspect of what they do, right? So 42% of salespeople surveyed, that same HubSpot survey from about a year ago, 42% said that prospecting is the hardest for them. So, all right. Now, why LinkedIn, right? There's so many options out there, and certainly there's a lot of really viable options for growing your business. I've probably told most of you this story in our communication during your time working with social advisors. We're about a 7-year-old company. I've got about 22 years in the industry, all of that in marketing and business development, and really not all of it, but the huge majority of it in a digital environment. We were a content development company. When we first started almost 7 years ago, we were writing a lot of blogs and putting together editorial calendar for advisors for their Facebook and their LinkedIn, and sending out newsletters. And we even built a few websites. Not that that's my favorite thing to do on the planet, but certainly we're more than capable of doing it. A few years into that whole content model, I found, and I'll spare you all the details around this, but I found that demonstrating an ROI for your content marketing is a really difficult thing to do, right? I get phone calls, Charlie, great blog, but when does that turn into clients, right? And that's hard to say. You wrote a blog, so you got a client, right? It's all part of an integrated approach. So we took a step back and we looked at, where can we really easily demonstrate the return for the energy that we put in? It all came out of LinkedIn. Right. So these stats really just back that up. 80% of leads, business-to-business leads sourced on the internet, come directly from LinkedIn. And then here's some stats around what the audience looks like there. So just to reinforce that the work that we're doing on LinkedIn, again, lots of ways to build a business, lots of ways to find new clients. In my experience, LinkedIn has been the most effective and the easiest to demonstrate return on investment. So again, I don't want to take a lot of your time today. We're going to dive into LinkedIn in just a little bit to show you some examples of good content that you can be sharing. I will tell you about a content offering that we are putting into beta this month, and we'll roll it out in mass within the next probably 6 weeks or so. So those of you who don't have a content solution, we'll talk about that in a little bit. And then I'm going to give you 5 steps that you can really hang on to for building trust in relationships. But first, let's talk about the issues. right? So where I see advisors, I'd say we've got about an 80% retention rate after our initial 6-month engagement with any one of you on the on this call. About 80% of our clients stick around after 6 months and go month to month. Many of those for a couple of years at this point. Where we lose advisors after the 6-month period, I would say it boils down to what we have in front of us here, right? We've got a number of advisors that, frankly, get 3 months into this thing and they decide, maybe I can follow up once a week. You can't really do that, right? So when your account executive sends you that, hey, you've got a new lead, you've got a new opportunity, they want to talk to you, get in and schedule that conversation. It doesn't have to be immediate, but it should be within the next 24 hours, right? We don't want to let that cool off. So get something scheduled. So be timely in your follow-up with the leads that we send over to you. When you start talking to that person that we send over to you, whether that's through LinkedIn Messenger or whether you've scheduled a call and you got on the phone with them or you're exchanging emails, however you're communicating with them, many of our advisors, I find, and frankly, I'm going to tell you, it's usually the young guys who have a little more desperation in building a book of business. They focus too much on themselves, right? Too much on what they bring to the table. Let me tell you something. Of course, clients want to choose you based on your expertise in part, right? But if the conversation's all about that expertise, you're going to lose them. You've got to include them in the conversation, which leads us right into number 3 here. You've got to have an understanding of who those not advisors, but who those prospects are and what their needs are. So when you engage them, again, whether it's through LinkedIn Messenger or on the telephone, make sure that the conversation is about them, even if it's not business related yet. And I'm going to tell you, you can get to business way too soon. So you don't want to start with business, even if it's not business yet. Make sure that you're talking about them, right? Even if it's just casual. Where are you from? Right? Oh, I see you went to college here. Oh, I see we're both part of these groups, right? Talk about them. Don't focus on you. Focus on them. Now, the single biggest obstacle that we've got to get advisors over is just trying to sell too soon. I'm going to share a very quick story with you. And it happened 3 or 4 years ago. We were moving offices. We were moving out of one building and we were moving just like a block and a half over. We had grown out of our current space. And we were on the 4th floor of this one building. And I was carrying a crate of stuff over, got down the elevator, walked out the side door of the building we were in, and I ran into a friend of mine, a guy that was in the building that I'd known for the couple of years that our office was there. And he was with another guy. So I said hi to the guy that I knew. And the other guy, without saying hello, without saying my name is fill in the blank, he said, "Do you need life insurance?" I share that with you because, obviously, I don't know, some sales coach somewhere told him that, hey, if you ask 1,000 people, you're going to get 10, right? And so he figured he'd get right to the point. I didn't even know the guy's name. I'd never seen him before in my life. So anyway, don't be that guy, right? Obviously, if you try to sell too soon, that guy is an extreme case of it. But if you get right to the selling point, you're probably going to look desperate. In fact, I almost guarantee it that you're going to look desperate. You haven't built any trust. We're talking about people's finances in most cases. We do have some advisors or some clients outside of the industry, but for the most, in the most case, we're talking about financial planning and wealth management, right? So that's got to be a trusted relationship, right? And that leads right into the 5th one. You've got to establish trust before getting into that business conversation. Now, these are the 5 points that we're going to go over. For some of them, we're going to talk about it. For others, I'm going to show you some examples on LinkedIn. But really, these are the 5 steps. You need to have a content offering. A number of you probably already have some content in place, right? There's certainly a lot of content offerings within our industry. Some are good, some are not so good. Some are pushing content out to 30,000 advisors. That's probably not very good for you. Others are doing really customized content for you. The more custom you go, the more personal you go, the better that is for you. Canned content is not bad. I told you that we will be rolling out a content offering in the coming months here. And I'll tell you now what that looks like. It's going to be curated content. And what it allows us to do is by keyword, we can search all of Google's properties. And so if we type in, wealth management and long-term care, and we can add whatever keywords we want to it, our software is going to go out and search all of Google properties for articles related to those keywords. And then we'll share those with our clients. Maybe we share 25 a month and you guys choose 12 or 15. Again, we're still working out the details on that. What's cool about it is it might be, like a Forbes article or a US News article. It'll be a third-party curated article, but it's going to have a little snippet about you at the bottom of it, with your picture or your logo and a call to action to click through to your website or wherever you want to, a landing page, a white paper, your LinkedIn profile, wherever you want to link them to. So it is curated content, it is third-party content, but it'll be personalized to you, through that little call to action at the bottom of it. Now, the second thing is, so have a content strategy. That's number one. We'll talk about that in a little more detail here in a second. Number two, going back to some of the issues, talking about yourself too much. Talk about them and talk about something personal. Don't jump right into their financial needs or their exit planning needs or their employee benefit package needs. Find something personal to talk to them about. Third, and it could even go with number two, find a commonality to discuss. I'm going to show you a conversation that I started this morning. It actually happened this morning, and I brought it up for our purposes. I'll show it to you here in a second, but it's all about commonality, and I'll show you that real live example of that commonality. So find something in common. Maybe you guys are in the same group, right? And other commonalities there. I've got some examples coming up, so I won't dive too deep into that. Now, this one's really, really important. Give something of value, right? If you work with business owners, and on behalf of you, we are targeting business owners on LinkedIn. The reason you're targeting business owners is because you know what problems they have. You know what problems you solve for your current business owner clients. What can you provide of value that helps them see you as an expert, right? So give them something of value. Could be a white paper, right? And then finally, you're never, ever going to get a client unless you ask them to talk business. You have to give them the ask. Now, that is fifth. Very specifically, that is fifth in line. Until you've done those first four things, don't even ask them to talk business. Because if they don't have trust, you're jumping the gun a little bit, cart in front of the horse, or whatever other cliche we could say about that. You do have to talk business, but do not talk business until the relationship is in the right place. Pay homage to the relationship. All right. Now we're going to dive into a little more detail about these five. Have a consistent content strategy. So post content a few times a week, right? There's weeks that I might post once. There's weeks that I might post 4 times. Depends on what we have going on, right? Depends on if I'm feeling long-winded or not, I guess. Now, one of the things that I love about content on LinkedIn tends to have, if it's good content and gets some interaction, it tends to have a longer shelf life than any other social media platform. So I've got posts, honestly, I've got posts that, maybe I posted a month ago, and then all of a sudden I get a notification that somebody commented on my post, and I barely remember posting it. But if it's quality, if you get interaction, LinkedIn will continue to show it. If it's not getting a lot of interaction, it's going to have a limited shelf life. But unlike Facebook, for example, and unlike Instagram, if you're using that platform, Twitter specifically, Twitter's live, right? So if you got 1,000 people that you're following, the posts that you see are going to last a very short amount of time. Anyway, so video is great content. I'm going to show you, a couple. You've probably seen some of my videos. All of my videos are shot with natural light on my iPhone. I got a little tripod that's 13 inches tall. I put it on a stack of books so it's at the right height. It does not have to be expensive for you to create video. And what's great about video is as people are consuming your content, they feel like they get to know you a little bit. Now, also vary the type of content that you share, right? We really boil it down to maybe 3 types of content. And certainly I'm sure there's more than, but we focus on 3. I'll call it professional content. Share content about wealth management, share content about 529 plan, share content about, financial planning, anything related to your industry, share that content. This is what positions you as an expert. Share it often, share it widely. Do not expect to get a lot of interaction. Okay, that's the thing about financial content. Very few advisors get a ton of interaction on their purely professional content. That's not to say it's not important. Continue to share those articles and those videos and those infographics, but don't expect a lot of interaction from it. It just doesn't spur interaction. That's okay. Now, the second type of content that we focus on is, I'll call it lifestyle content, right? A couple great examples. Back when we were writing a ton of blogs, we represented an advisor who had a really pretty ultra high net worth audience. In fact, he shared with me that one of his clients was Justin Bieber. So, and I'm sure Justin Bieber had several advisors. Anyway, he was very impressed by this. Heck, I was kind of impressed. My daughters were super impressed. Anyway, so that just gives you the idea of the type of person that he was working with. So he asked us to write a blog for him about professional sports franchises, whether it was like a sound investment strategy or just a billionaire's play toy. And it was timely because if you go back a few years, remember the Clippers, the Los Angeles Clippers were sold to Steve Ballmer. And I think it was the same year the Pagula family bought the Buffalo Bills. And so those were the 2 franchises we focused in on the blog. But here's what's funny about this. Like literally that topic affects like 0.00001% of the population, right? Who can actually afford to be, the owner of a professional sports franchise. But because it was about sports, it blew up. I thought it was a terrible topic to start because it didn't affect anybody, but it got so much interaction. It was crazy. The second one, and this is a fun one because I did a live presentation and I brought this example up in that live presentation maybe last year sometime. We wrote a blog for somebody comparing and contrasting the 5-year ownership of the top-end Lexus sedan versus a BMW 7 Series. Spoiler alert, the BMW is like $65,000 or $70,000 more expensive to own over 5 years. Well, I was giving this live presentation to a room of about 100 people, and it turned out that one of the principals in the firm that I was visiting owned a BMW 7 Series, so we got a good laugh out of it. But got a ton of interaction. It was about cars and actually really sound kind of financial, knowledge, right? So vary the type of content that you share. And the 5th one, I'm going to tell you, get educational. You can also be entertaining. The 5th one down there is get personal, but in a professional way. Right? So if you do an event, take a picture of yourself. Take a picture of yourself with some of the attendees, right? That's social proof, if you will. I'll show you, a couple of posts in a second here where it's just happy birthday celebrations in the office, right? This is still in a professional setting, but it's sharing something personal about you, right? Bring your daughter to school day or bring your daughter to work day or something along those lines, right? Share that personal type of content, but in a professional setting. We want people to get to know you. That's how they grow trust in you. So with that, let me jump in here a little bit. I got so many tabs open, right? So if you'll notice, this is just a feed of some of my posts. And you can see it's really video heavy, right? Super video heavy. And, I'll just scroll through it in a hurry here. We post a ton of video. We also write some articles, but we post a ton of video because we know that video is really great at creating that trust factor, right? People watch my video, they feel like they know me a little bit, right? So here's some fun stuff. If you don't already follow this page, Cheddar, you should. They have some of the coolest gadgets that they post about. Now, I don't necessarily grow from any of this stuff, right? But you know, just watching some of these videos that Cheddar posts, they get, if you look at it, 2,300 likes, 85 comments. Now they got a great following, right? That's about a dog. I watched it earlier about a dog who was falling out a window. I mean, you know, it's not all great content necessarily. It doesn't focus on you know, on the industry, and maybe some of these videos you're like, yeah, that's not something I'd ever post. I completely, you know, I'm sensitive to that, and I want you to certainly have your personality there. I just want to point out their content, every single bit of it. Like, I stop and watch their videos. It's awesome. Let's see, what else do we have on store? If you don't know this guy, you should. Michael Kitces. Again, this was just an example. I wanted to share a video, educational content. He's great with, where's some more Michael Kitces posts that I pulled up here. Here's another Michael Kitces post, right? Really great educational content for advisors. If you don't already follow Michael Kitces, I'm going to highly recommend that you do, because he's awesome, right? Let's see what else we have. Oh, Jason. Okay, I'll come back to that one. That's a good one. Here's one, Anthony Baldi. I mean, join us in wishing Tony a happy birthday today, right? So that's just really personal. Got a little bit of interaction there, not a lot of comments. But when you have an opportunity to post personal content, post that personal content in a professional setting. Here's a couple of other things I love, right? Independent Research Forum, that's tagging their business. Phil Subtle, that's tagging somebody else that was at whatever event this is. So make sure that you're tagging other people. You can also use hashtags, which of course, basically the Dewey Decimal System of the internet, right? So if I were to click on this hashtag economy, I'd get other articles related to economy. So use hashtags. It makes it easier for people to find your content if they're not already connected to you. Now, where's that other one I had? Jason. Here's what I'm going to do. I think we had a Jason post that I loved. See all activity. So this is where you can see somebody's content. You can click on their post. This is one that I love right here, right? This is like a social proof type thing. If I click on see more, right? This is all about education. It's all about advice. Now, Jason also works in a LinkedIn environment like I do. You know, I just love some of the stuff that he posts about education. Like, I get a lot of information from him, and this one in particular is about, you know, is about content posting, right? Also, you're going to see a ton of video. This one from his car. Hopefully, he's not driving. This one from a brick wall, which I often do as well. Anyway. So post content, post it often, post it wide, and make sure you've got a variety. And we all love video. I want to see if I had any other examples up there that I hadn't already shared with you. Cheddar. Yeah, okay, cool. So we'll get us back into our PowerPoint here. We'll dive back in a second into LinkedIn as well. Okay, now start a personal conversation, right? First off, be patient. We already talked about being too salesy is going to kill opportunity. Focus on them. We live in a world now where if we send you somebody that wants to talk to you on LinkedIn, all you have to do is quickly dive into Facebook, quickly dive into Google, quickly dive into LinkedIn, do a little bit of research on them, and find something to talk to them about, right? I mean, it's simple. Right on LinkedIn, you can find where they live. On Facebook, you can find where they're from, right? On LinkedIn, you can find where they went to school. Facebook's going to tell you what their favorite hobbies are. LinkedIn is likely to tell you what organizations they support and belong to. If you were to look at my LinkedIn right now, you'd see one of the groups I'm in is a group about the Green Bay Packers. I grew up in Green Bay, right? So you would have something personal about me that you could talk to. It's not, oh, hey, you're ready to talk about, you know, you're ready to talk about your portfolio. Let's do a review of your portfolio before they barely know your name, right? So jumping back into LinkedIn, this is the conversation that literally started this morning, right? This is Connor Quick. Connor is a Baird advisor who responded to my LinkedIn campaign. Good morning, Connor. Excited to talk to you, and I'll show you. You just, Char, I'd be interested in hearing what you guys do. Let me know a couple times at work for you. Good morning, Connor. Excited to talk to you. You're close to my hometown in Green Bay. He's up in incidentally, southern Wisconsin. Way back in the day, I was involved in Baird's First Advisor websites, right? So I shared with him some things, some personal things, some commonality, right? You're at Baird. I did websites for Baird. So it's not about diving into business, right? Way back in the day, tells Connor, hey, I've been doing this for a long time too. So there's some kind of social proof there as well. But anyway, make sure that you're focused when you exchange messages on LinkedIn or you get on the phone with somebody. Make sure that you are focused on them. Stay personal with them. Incidentally, I love being on LinkedIn because when I'm in a live environment, you see this little red dot that came up here. I got new activity. That's usually a new message in my inbox or something like that. So that's always exciting. So after getting your content worked out, the first step is to make sure when you encounter somebody, the conversation is about them. Where you can, make that about commonality as well. Now, I started by saying, I'm going to reiterate it, the person that provides the most value will earn the business. If you continue to provide the value to the people that you are connected to, whether that's on social media posts, whether that's on white papers for business owners, heck, whether that's on, they have a gardening project and you're really into gardening, you can give them tips on their personal life as well, right? Continue to provide value. In order to do that, you have to understand the needs of your prospects. What are the current problems that you solve for your current clients? So again, I'm going to use business owners, and certainly I could use plan sponsors as well, and other professionals, right? If when in your onboarding interview with social advisors, we asked you a lot of questions about your practice. We asked you a lot of questions about who it was that you target, so that we could A, find the right people on LinkedIn, and B, create the right messaging for you, right? So if you told us, I want to focus on business owners in my local geographic area, that's who we're, out there prospecting on your behalf. Now, the idea is you work with business owners already. So you know what some of their problems are, right? Oh, excuse me, I actually bumped that. You know what some of their problems are. So when you finally get to that phone conversation and you've had a little bit of personal conversation, you've offered them some value, you can help them self-qualify. If I know that the business owners I work with, let's say they don't create enough income out of their business, all their money's wrapped up in their business. Maybe that's one common problem. Another common problem might be tax liability. Right? Minimizing their tax liability. Who doesn't want to do that? Another common problem might be, they're within 10 years of retirement and they're trying to figure out what their exit looks like, right? So there's 3 very common business owner problems. I'll tell you what, not that I'm within 10 years of retirement yet, but those first 2 are problems I've got, So when you're on a phone call with somebody, those are the types of questions that you want to ask them after you've developed value, delivered some value, created some personal type, some commonality there. Ask them. So here's some of the stuff that I find from the other business owners that I work with. Are these issues for you? If they say yes, I pay way too much in taxes. Yes, my wife tells me I don't take enough money out of the business. Yes, I'm within a few years of retirement. I'm not sure what that looks like yet. If those are problems, your very soft close is simply to buy them a cup of coffee, right? If they qualify on that phone call, offer up a cup of coffee next. Listen, we should probably get together sometime, and I'll tell you what I do for my clients, right? No strings attached to it, right? But let's grab a cup of coffee. It's been great chatting with you over the phone, getting to know you on LinkedIn. I'd love to meet you in person. And I promise, I've been working with business owners for 25 years. I'll tell you exactly how you would tackle the issues that you've expressed, right? Again, we're not hard selling. We're providing more value. So that's how in your phone conversations, you help people self-qualify. Understand before you ever go into that conversation what the problems they are likely to have, right? So again, I want you to focus on 5 very specific things. when you have a new relationship. And again, I don't care if that's a relationship that we deliver from LinkedIn. You meet them at a networking event, you get an introduction, you know, at you know, some through a common connection that you have. You should have a good content strategy. And in the next 6 weeks or so, if you don't already have something in place, we will have something to offer you at that time. You need to start personal conversations. And like you saw my conversation with that Baird advisor, find a commonality, right? Now, provide value. When I get on the phone call with that Baird advisor Thursday or Friday, I'm gonna give him routines that he can implement on his own. I'm gonna give him some of the keys to the castle. Now, he's not gonna get all the details in a 30-minute conversation, but I'm gonna show him a couple different ways that he can improve his LinkedIn profile. And I'm gonna show him how to start several conversations every single week with people he wants to do business with on LinkedIn. Now, I do that because if he's ambitious enough, he'll see some value out of it, and it's going to reflect positively on me, and it's going to reflect positively on social advisors, right? If he's like a lot of the other advisors I know, he's going to take that information, appreciate it, and then do absolutely nothing with it. But it still is a credibility factor for me. And 3 weeks or 4 weeks down the road, when he's done nothing with the information I provided, it's likely he'll come back and he'll say, hey, Charlie, I need to work with you guys. I simply have not implemented, right? Pretty simple. So do all that before you ever ask to talk business. And that asking to talk business is simply, hey, let me share some information with you. I very much enjoyed meeting you over the phone or on LinkedIn. Let me buy you a cup of coffee, right? At that coffee, you can see how serious that conversation is. And then you simply transition to, hey, you know, if you've ever got questions or anything, I'm a resource to you. In fact, are you open to a second set of eyeballs on your portfolio, right? So you have to ask to talk business to close business. So, anyway, this is the format that we want to do a minimum of once a month. And of course, as a client of ours, you're all going to get email updates to let you know when these are happening. We're doing it first Tuesday right now. That's our plan moving forward. If we find that, you know, second Tuesday is better or third Thursday is better, we'll switch it around a little bit. But at the moment, the first Tuesday of every month, we're going to host a quick 25, 35-minute webinar like this. It will be recorded every month and made available to you. But what we'll do is we're just going to take one or two topics and tackle those topics because we believe that it's frankly, it's us bringing you more value. And we're working with dozens and dozens of advisors. If we can bring to you the cumulative experience, you're going to be more successful with the service that we provide you. So you know how to reach me. You also know how to reach that account executive if you've got any questions or any ideas coming off of this call. And I appreciate those of you who have joined me and spent some time of your day with me. Let me do one thing real quick. Move that video back on. So I talked a lot. Sorry about that. I don't know, I get long-winded, but anyway, so I think I saw a chat pop up here. Let me see what I got. Nope, nothing at this point. So if you got questions, you got my email address, or you can certainly contact your account executive. I do have a chat. Scott, do I post everything on my website that I post on LinkedIn? That's a great question, Scott. The answer is no, it's not. We don't. So you saw the amount of video content that we do. I did a video this morning, right? And actually it was a screen share as opposed to being in front of the iPhone. It was basically just exactly what we're looking at here in recorded capacity. Every video we create will end up on YouTube, or at least it should. I don't do all the posting anymore, right? I've got a team that helps me out with that. I do create the content, but it should end up on LinkedIn. Not on LinkedIn, my gosh, on YouTube, right? Because YouTube is a Google property. So the more videos that we load up on YouTube, the more viewership we get, the tagging that we do, all of that is going to help with our ranking within Google. Now, that same video, if I want to post it on LinkedIn or on Facebook, I do a lot less with Facebook than I do with LinkedIn. If I want to post on LinkedIn, I don't simply share a link to that video. I take that raw video or that file, that MP3 or MP4 file, and I upload it directly to LinkedIn. If you do a post with a link on LinkedIn, I mean, think about LinkedIn wants to retain their traffic. So if you do a post on LinkedIn that has a link on it, that post is going to get less exposure than if you load up that video resident to LinkedIn. Just because, you know, you're retaining, when someone watches that video on LinkedIn, they're retaining those eyeballs for longer, right? So that creates more value for them. We blog. We don't blog as often, Scott, as we probably should. But by no means does all of our content that goes on social media, by no means does all of that go on our website. Perhaps we could have a little bit different strategy there. I don't know. Freshness of content is important. I don't know. Maybe I need to talk to Daniel, our director of marketing, and have a deeper conversation about that. But right now, Scott, it doesn't. Strategically, I don't think it would be a bad thing if it did. So you're very welcome. Matias, and thanks. Yeah, so actually, that wasn't a question at all. It was just a statement, so I'm not even going to worry about that. If there's any other questions, I'll hold on for a moment here. All right, cool. I'll tell you what, I'm going to sign off. Of course, you know how to get a hold of me. And of course, you got Mel, our director of operations. If you don't already have a relationship with Mel, you should certainly start to build that. She's a lot more accessible than I am. And you've got your account executive. So your point of contact there. If you have any questions, by all means, reach out to them. If you need to reach me, most of you have my cell phone number. All of you have my email address. And by all means, I'll share that cell phone for those of you who don't have it. It's 386-846-5291, 386-846-5291. And we appreciate the heck out of each and every one of you. Without you, it's not possible for us to provide value to the numbers that we do. And furthermore, for you to provide value to additional clients that we bring your way. So have an awesome rest of the week. Happy holidays. Hope you all had a great Thanksgiving. And shoot me a line if you need to. And yeah, we'll talk to you soon. Signing off.